So before we begin this episode of Time About the Movies, I have some exciting news to tell you.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. I have finally gotten up to date on all the Time About the Movies presents for every month that I've been doing this show. So there you go. December 2011 and November 2011 went up today, and that means every month that I have covered ever since we started this show is up and ready to go. So that means I can finally put an end to this. As of right now, I know we're still in the depths of 2012 right now, and I'll get to that. The strategy that I'm going to go with here for future videos going forward in terms of these is that I will continue doing these Time About the Movies Presents specials for monthly videos, but I'm going to do it once a month now. So or at least until we get to the end of specific years. Like when we get done with 2012, there'll be a 2012 video probably within mid-November, and then 2013... So probably when we get done with that around late December, early January. I'd have to double check to see where the timing is on this whole thing. But this was a long, arduous process to get all these episodes done. Because not only did I have to edit all the episodes together into one video, YouTube was really being a pain in the butt getting these videos updated, mostly because of slow internet and the fact that I was putting up too many videos at one point. I had to stop doing these for a little bit, so that's why there was kind of a little bit of a lull between 2007 and 2008, as I'm just going through this thing here to show you. But hey, in the end, it really came down to it took me a long time to do this, but in the end, it was definitely worth it. And I'll tell you, the last couple of days alone were really a struggle, because yesterday was a really bad day for just uploading videos. I don't know what was going on with my internet and all that, but like I said before, the Time About the Movies video I did for yesterday took 5 hours to upload. It was a 20-minute video, but it took 5 hours to upload, and that was ridiculous. And especially considering that the short I put on this channel and then the other video I did for the other channel didn't take that long to update at all. I mean, that's just what's been going on with the video thing here, video uploading thing here. But as you can see, I have officially done with every month up to date until 2012. And that means I can move on to other projects, too. I've been wanting to do a Time About the Movies Presents special about the Land Before Time sequels and also the American Pie sequels, which hopefully I'll get around to doing some of those this week. But we'll see what happens as the weeks go on here. But as you can see, all the months right here are completely covered, so we are already up to date on that. So a long, arduous process that began at the beginning of the year. It was worth it to finally get to that point in time, and I'm just letting this kind of fill out here so you can see how far this thing goes. Because yeah, it took me a couple of months to get this going. As you see, 7 months ago, I did the stuff from '93, and we're heading back towards to '92. So this thing took me all the way to the beginning of the year to get this done. And who knows? By the time if I get video uploading equipment that'll be much faster, I'll maybe consider, and we'll actually have a lot more room for space on here, I might just do a full year's worth of these at some point. But again, that's going to take a long time for me to get the equipment to use this. Not to figure out what to do here. Because remember, I'm doing this on my phone mostly, so it's taking up a lot of space to get these videos up there together on their own merits. But like I said, 9 months of work finally came to a close today. So I'm really happy to say that this is updated and ready to go, and there'll be some more Time About the Movie specials coming up in the not too distant future. But
as we welcome you to another episode of Time About the Movies today, we are taking a look at two big new holiday releases, including the return of Daniel Craig as James Bond in Skyfall, and also Steven Spielberg's latest film, Lincoln. I've already wasted 4 minutes of your time. Toy boat. I've already wasted 4 minutes of your time with this intro, and a little bit more because of that. Let's get to the show. Time About the Movies. We are rocking and rolling. Daniel Craig's James Bond overall has had a much more intriguing backstory than I think a lot of people really would have expected from this, and that's the power of Daniel Craig as a whole. He has come into his own as James Bond in particular, and, you know, it easily repairs the faults of Quantum of Solace. You know, Quantum of Solace it wasn't really Daniel Craig's fault. It was mostly because of the writer's strike that the film really kind of fell apart at the worst possible time. And even then, it wasn't a bad movie overall, but Judi Dench is really good in here as M. It's her best performance in the series, which basically is kind of her last performance in the series in general because of what happens to her in this. Javier Bardem, I thought, was very good playing the villain in this. They basically bought him in there because of Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, it's the same reason why Christoph Waltz comes in the next film, Inspector, as Blofeld. But, he won the Oscar, of course. He was going to win another Oscar this year for Django Unchained, but the rest of the cast overall is pretty good in here. The action sequences are really well done. Like, it's amazing when The Bourne Legacy came out. I just felt really let down by what I saw from that movie. Like, they needed to watch this and take notes on how to do this. There's tension. There's no telling how it's going to end. There's no BS cop out at the end. I like the ending sequence overall, too. It's basically kind of like the James Bond equivalent of Home Alone, except if Macaulay Culkin uses guns and grenades on Marv and Harry instead of micro machines and all that. Like, if Home Alone was strictly an R-rated movie, pretty much. The tension grows. The outcome is very well done. If there's any faults I have with this, the story overall, I think it tries a little too hard to mimic some of the plot lines from stuff like The Dark Knight and The Avengers. Like, you could pinpoint areas where you could see things lifted from both movies, like the way Javier Bardem's character sitting in his prison cell, like Loki does in The Avengers, to the terroristic ways the bad guys, what he does a lot, on how the Joker commits the crimes he did in The Dark Knight. There's a lot of elements taken from those movies in particular, and you would expect these to kind of stand out on their own because of that. I will say also the pacing is a little bit off too. It never gets to the point where it ruins the film for me, but it does run a little too long at 2 hours and 23 minutes long. I mean, it feels way too long of a James Bond movie. I mean, granted, Casino Royale was just as long, but I think they did a better job of a better story overall and better pacing overall. And this, it does stretch its welcome a little bit, but never to the point where I really hated the film. I would honestly say this is my second favorite James Bond movie that I've seen. I mean, it's a movie that really is one of the best ones of the series, no question about it. I mean, it's everything you want to see in a James Bond movie, and then some. It's everything you can ask for, and it was such a success that Sam Mendes came back to do the next film, and unfortunately that one didn't have the same impact as this film did, but this also has one of the great Bond theme songs of all time. You cannot think of great Bond theme songs and not think of Adele's Skyfall, Look at the skyfall, watch it crumble. I can't do the whole thing because of copyright concerns, but yeah, it's one of the great songs in the Bond movies in general. That, and also the Sam Smith song for Spectre, which, to be perfectly honest, is probably the best thing about that movie per se. But yeah, overall, terrific film. Really, really enjoyed the hell out of it. Skyfall, one of the best James Bond movies of all time, no question about it. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the other big new release this weekend, Steven Spielberg's latest film, and that is Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln, rated PG-13, in select theaters November 9th, everywhere November 16th.
So Lincoln tells the story of the final 4 months of Abraham Lincoln's life, focusing on the president's efforts in January of 1865 to have the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution passed by the United States House of Representatives. And there was a lot of people that were really hating on the movie when this came out because, not just the critics, but the general filmgoers. A lot of them thought the movie was lame and too Oscar baity, and as someone who really does complain a lot about too many Oscar bait films out there, I'll say this. This is definitely one of the lesser Oscar bait films, but in a good way. There are moments that go overboard on the please give us an Oscar, but really, I think the movie works great on its own merits. Daniel Day-Lewis is giving a phenomenal performance as Abraham Lincoln, and it helps that he has an incredible cast to work around here. Sally Field, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Gloria Rubin, James Spader, Adam Driver, David Oyelowo, Jared Harris, David Strathairn, Bruce McGill, Lee Pace, Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones, as great as he is in the movie, the funniest thing about this whole Oscar cycle that he was going through is that for some reason, he kept looking miserable, and no matter where he went. Like, that was the big joke all around the award show circuit around that time, was that every time they cut to Tommy Lee Jones, especially at the Golden Globe Awards, he had this look on his face like he just did not want to be there. He was just looking like, oh, please, God, get me the fuck out of here. Like, even during comedy bits. Like, I know there's one with Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig during the Golden Globes where, they're doing their bit, and they cut to Tommy Lee Jones, and he's just looking at him just like, kill me right now. In fact, when the Academy Awards happens, host Seth MacFarlane, one of his early jokes early on was, our goal tonight is one of our goals tonight is we're going to get Tommy Lee Jones to actually crack a smile for once. And surprisingly, that actually did make him laugh. Like, I actually thought that was kind of cool. Like, I thought it was funny. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is a great actor, and he's pretty good in here too, but I just found that all the more hilarious that he had this continued look on his face like he did not want to be there at all, but I digress. The movie looks pretty good too. It does capture the spirit and feel of the 1860s overall. You got a great musical score by John Williams. The script overall, good, not great overall, but there was a lot about this movie that I do like. I think the acting really carries the load. I can see why Daniel Day-Lewis did win an Academy Award for this, although it would have been cool if Hugh Jackman had won for Les Miserables, even though he was considered the frontrunner for many, many months, and then a certain movie called Movie 43 came out where he had balls on his chin, and that completely dampened his Oscar chances. But yeah, he should have won that, but Daniel Day-Lewis did a good enough job to receive this award. I think he more than well deserved it for this. He really does carry the role of Abraham Lincoln here very, very well. A guy that really does not do as many films as he usually does, but when he does, he always knocks it out of the park, man. I mean, this is a guy that knows how to pick his scripts and knows that he can take as many breaks as he wants to. If he finds something good that he'll go with, he'll more than take the opportunity to do it. Yeah, the visuals are great. The story is the biggest thing. The scripting overall could have been a lot better, but overall, this is a really good movie. I'm not going to say it's one of Spielberg's best films as a director overall, but it is definitely one that I think is one of the better Oscar bait films out there. No question about it. I think it's a ton of fun. It's a really good film. I can't recommend it enough. Lincoln, definitely worth a watch. Easily. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we have the long-awaited conclusion of the Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn Part 2, which almost redeems the entire series, except for one stupid thing they do at the end. But we'll touch on that as we go along here. But despite that movie's coming out, we do have not only one of the best movies of the year, the best movie of the year, in my personal opinion, but one of my favorite movies of all time, The Silver Linings Playbook from David O. Russell. Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Jackie Weaver, Julia Stiles, Chris Tucker. A fantastic, fantastic film. I can't wait to touch on this a little bit more. We also have Keira Knightley and Anna Karenina, of course, based off the tale from Lore, or I don't even know what I'm saying there, but it's based on old stories. We'll touch deeper into details on that on the next episode. 3 films to take a look at on this pre-Thanksgiving weekend. Actually, is this a pre-Thanksgiving weekend or is it next weekend? No, this is pre-Thanksgiving weekend. They always say it's the last Thursday before Thanksgiving. It's the last Thursday of the month of November. It's Thanksgiving, but for some reason, like there's the 23rd on Friday. It's Thanksgiving on this year is the 22nd, so that means there would be one more week in November on the 29th. But I don't know. But it's pre-Thanksgiving weekend. We'll touch on these films next time around. So stay tuned for that on the next episode tomorrow. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. Now, with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.